Good evening. Welcome to ENPT7312 Entrepreneurship 3B. My name is Carl Murray. On the screen is my email address. Please feel free at any point to contact me or let me know if there's anything you'd like to find out more, any information that you're lacking. Can I just get confirmation that you can hear me? Thanks, Melanie. So I am recording tonight's class. For those that can't attend, I have to apologize up front if my voice sounds a bit strange or the mic goes dead for a while. I am suffering of a bit of a upper respiratory tract infection, and I've got a bit of a throat sore and so on. So if you hear something sounding strange, it might be me just quickly taking a sip of water or swallowing, because I am in a bit of a difficulty here. So, okay, what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to briefly give you an overview of what the course content is about, how the course works, how the course is structured, and then I'm going to dive straight into the first learning unit and do some work around that. Please feel free to interrupt me at any time if there's any question, anything that you want clarified, anything you want to make sure of. Okay, here we go. So on the screen, you can take your time and read through the module purpose and objectives. And basically the whole idea of this final module in the entrepreneurship course is how people can see opportunities, figure out what is an opportunity, manage those opportunities, grow those opportunities into a successful business. And we do this within our own context, in other words, within the context of emerging economies, such as our own or most of the African economies. Three key outcomes: the generation of new and innovative ideas and strategies, the evaluation of existing opportunities. So in other words, not things that have happened, but opportunities that are there that we could possibly seize. And then looking at the resourcing component and what do you need to actually make one of these possible opportunities work. What are the resources? What are the things that you can get hold of? Where can you go to get them? How do you fund an opportunity, for example? And who and what is there to help you in this process? Prescribed material is our good old friend Nick and Murray, the husband and wife team, as well as a friend of theirs, Miss Murray. This is the same textbook that you would have used in 3A. Together with the pitch deck, we're going to do some presentations again. And then Learning Unit has 4 articles, Learning Unit 6 has 3 articles. In due course, it's still early days, but in due course, I will download those articles and I will upload them as lecture resources in ARC. I'm assuming you guys realize at this stage that we've moved away from VC Learn. We moved to ARC. If you're not sure how to work ARC, etc., I have posted today as an announcement the ARC playlist, so that you can actually click on there and go through the various videos. If you're totally new to ARC and you've only just realized, oh heck, there's a brand new learning system, I've got no clue, please do me a favor, get in contact. I'm unable to support you in that, but please get in contact with the online campus and ask them to please assist you, and they will give you some guidance around that. But I'm assuming all of you have the Nick and Murray textbook, and then, as I say, Learning Unit 5 and 6 are articles outside. Remember, if you think back on the 3A semester, Nick and Murray is an American textbook, and if you think of what I've just said in terms of what our goals and objectives for this module is for the semester, we're looking pretty much at the emerging economies, and we're pretty much looking at how do we finance in those emerging economies, including the township economy. And obviously Nick and Murray doesn't cover that, and that's why we have these articles from these outside articles to cover that part in addition to Neck and Murray. But as I said, don't worry about those articles for now. I'll go out and source them. I think I do have some of them already, but I'll source them, and in due course I'll upload them for you. Righto. Assessments, always a sticky topic. So, part 1, 25%, part 2, 30%, part 3, or the POE, 35%, plus 10% ICE gives you your 100%. The assessments are in a similar vein to 3A. There's a business, etc. But I'll speak a little bit more, but I'm not going to go into details now about it, because we will, on the next slide, I'll talk briefly about it, and I'll tell you what we're going to do to prep for it. Let me tell you up front, your ICE is very simple. At the end of the semester, so ARC is very good in terms of mini assessments, exercises, and these types of things. My advice to you is to work through, especially as an online student, where we only have contact every 2 weeks. And as you know, in these contact sessions, we don't really teach. It's more just an overview, and I touch on some of the more important topics, but there's no detail and there's no real going over everything. It's in your own best interest. Please go onto ARC and do all the exercises in ARC. Yes, I know your time is limited. Yes, I know typically you're just working to assignments and assessments, etc., etc. But please do as many of those exercises as possible. In terms of ICE, at the end of the semester, I will go look at how many exercises you've done. If you've done 4 of those exercises, I will give you your ICE mark. So there's no separate ICE mark or ICE exercises. I'm not going to give you specific exercises and say to you, do this for ICE marks. Any 4 of the activities in ARC, I draw down the complete list of all activities. I check your name. I check that the activity has been done. As we go along, I'll mark activities and give feedback. But as we go along, I find that you've done the 4 activities, and they are fair attempts. A fair attempt means you've really tried to answer it properly. You've not just jotted down 2 or 3 ideas. If they say propose a methodology on how you take this case study and how you'd make that into a business, and you write 2 sentences, that's not a fair attempt. You must then actually propose how you're going to make a business out of it. If they say you must respond to 2 other people's ideas, you must have responded to 2 other. If you've jumped through all those hoops and you've actually done the activity, I will give you the ICE marks. So there's no separate ICE. Don't ask me what is ICE, when do we get ICE. And please just realize something else. There are, for most of those activities, there are model answers. When I have released an answer, you cannot go do the ICE after that, or the activity after that. You will not get marks for that. So you've got to work all the time, because by the time I start saying we're going to hand in ICE, there won't be any activities that I haven't released marks for, or haven't released the answers for, so there will be nothing for you to do. So please understand that very, very carefully. Okay, guys, so that's the assessments. Something more about the assessment. There's the dates, 11 April and 30 April. I don't like that. They're a bit close together, but unfortunately that is the nature of the beast. Remember, those are the current PAS dates as of today. Those dates can change. It's up to you to please go check and make sure what those dates are. If you come to me at the end of the semester and say, but Carl, you said it's the 11th and the 30th, and they've moved it to the 5th and the 15th. Sorry, those dates that I'm showing you are only valid for today. Tomorrow they may have changed. Please keep in mind, there's 2 important things in terms of these assessments. I will do an assessment prep class where I'll go through the whole assessment and each one of the 3 assessment points, and I will work through them with you, tell you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and I'll remind you of this then. But some people want to start working early. You cannot use any of your first semester work. Any of the ideas of the first semester are out. You must come up with new ideas. And you cannot, the ideas that you do a business that addresses a Millennium Development Goal, You cannot use any apps as an idea. Remember last semester we used apps, can't use apps, and you cannot use any of your last semester ideas. It's because they want you to work afresh and start from scratch again. Okay, assessments. There is a new AI usage policy. Please make sure that you're on top of that policy and understand the policy and understand what that policy says. One of the key things is if you use AI in any way, and you may use AI, but if you do use AI, you have to disclose it, you have to reference it, and remember, I'm by rights to say to you, okay, I want to see how you used AI. What was the prompt that you gave AI? What was the response that you got in AI? And where did you use it in your work? I'm within our rights to do that. In the mark as well, there's AI detection. Be able to see if AI. If you haven't, if you've used it, if the system tells us you've used it and you haven't declared it, you will end up in a discipline action. At this point of your studies, it's really not worth it, guys. So please, I will, when we do the assessment brief, I will talk more specifically to how this works and so on. But please, I will encourage you, especially for these assignments, to use AI, but to have a conversation with AI. And please keep in mind, it is never allowed, you're never allowed to copy and paste from AI into your assignment. You can have conversations, you can ask for ideas, you can ask it to check your work, but you can never copy and paste from AI directly. Okay, before I get into Learning Unit 1, just want to check any questions about the admin side of things. And that, because what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to move into the actual work for the first learning unit. So any questions? Okay, happy days. Here we go. So as always, there's key module objectives. I'm not going to read through each one of these objectives because you can read through these objectives, and you should. Remember, every module have got these sorry, that says module objectives. This should be key learning unit objectives. So the learning outcomes are important for you because this tells you at the end whether you understand the work that we've dealt with in this section of work. So please make sure you know those. So learning, sorry, let me just go back to slides. This is learning unit 1. Please note this is chapter 3 in the textbook. So it doesn't run in sync. So you've got to check in your module guide what learning unit aligns with what chapter in the textbook. Okay, so this section talks about how we look at opportunities and how we align our opportunities then with the with recognition. So how do we identify, how do we see opportunities? So firstly, what is an opportunity? Opportunity has 3 things. There's a potential value to it. And as we'll see later, the value can be more than just economic. There can be several different ways of looking at value. There must be a novelty or newness. It must be different to what we're currently doing, and that's or what we currently have. So it's something else. It may not be brand new. It may be an adaptation of something that we already have, and there must be a perception of desirability. In other words, we must be able to determine that the public out there want this. There will be a need for this. Sometimes a very quirky need, but there will be a need. People will actually want to use this product for something, and people will see some kind of need or usage for this new product that we've put in the market. Now, as I said, value can be, there's various ways to express value, and value can be different things to different people. But we have three key forms of value: economic, social, and environmental value. So firstly, the economic value, that's the obvious one. Is it worth money? Will people spend money to buy this? If there's a social value, it means that the product that you're putting in the market is going to do something in terms of social ills or solve a social problem, and that in itself makes it valuable. Because there's a problem in our community, there's a problem in our society, and your product is going to solve that problem for us. It's going to address that issue, if not solve it completely, because some of these problems we're not just going to solve them, but it's going to address it. It's going to push the limits back, and maybe we make some headways in at least alleviating that social issue that we have. And then the last one is environmental value. In other words, your product that you're proposing or the idea that you have is going to do something to protect or enhance our environment. Now, any one of those three forms of value, happy days, you've got a product that has value. Sometimes you will get the rare case where it has one, more than one, or even all three of those values. A guy I know is currently working on a initiative. It started off as a health product. They've since morphed it rather into a beauty product, because health products and the licensing of health products are extremely difficult. Licensing of beauty products are a lot easier. And they're using a local plant, local to the Western Cape. It is a semi-endangered plant, and they're using this plant to address certain beauty issues. Very good for scarring and those type of things. So it's not a medicine. It lies on the beauty side, but it addresses burn wounds and these type of things. They late stage development of the product, and they're in the lucky position. It addresses all three, because it's got an economic value in the sense that it is something that people will want to buy. People will want to use it. It's got a social value because it addresses issues of scarring and maiming and people that have picked up injuries, and it solves that side. And lastly, there's an environmental value, because this semi-endangered plant will now be farmed by people, because it now suddenly going from just a plant, there suddenly is an economic value to the plant, and therefore people want to farm it, and therefore they will protect it, and therefore we save the plant as well. And that's a unique situation to have all three of those into one product. It's very seldom that we see them all together, but it's very nice for you as the originator of the product if you've got all three, because remember, each one of those three things add a value, but the value grows exponentially as you add another one and add another one. So if you can do all three, you're in a much better position. So there's 4 dimensions. They talk about the 4 dimensions of ideas, or 4 levels of ideas. So firstly, innovation. Innovation is a new idea. And this new idea is something in your mind. It's an idea, and it may find mass appeal, but maybe the masses don't like it, right? So it's something that you think might have mass appeal, but you'll have to test it in the market to see if it has got mass idea or mass appeal. That's innovation. Inventions are new idea that has found success in the market, and the market has already accepted it. So then the market says, yes, we want to go with this, right? So for example, if you look at way back when, and I hope you guys will have a sense of this, the first way people at home had a way of recording television was through Betamax or VHS. It was a big cassette tape like this. And there were 2 types of innovation. The one was beta, it was a specific format, and the other one was VHS, which was a different format. Beta only ever was the innovation, because it didn't take very long before VHS had become an invention because the mass market accepted VHS and rejected beta. Right? There's a whole host of things behind it. It's actually very, very interesting reasons why that happened, and I'm not going to go into that now. But at the end, beta never really got out of the innovation starting block, while VHS was an innovation that became an invention. Then we have the improvement dimension, where somebody takes a product that is already there and they improve on that product and they make it faster, better, more user-friendly, more useful, whatever the case may be. And you could see, if you will allow me to continue with my beta VHS analogy, then VHS eventually was replaced by similar technology that did the same thing, except it was on a CD disc, which could take a lot more data, that you can write more information on, where the information could be stored for a much longer period. The disk itself was smaller, so easier to store, etc. So that was the improvement dimension, where a current product was taken and there was an improvement on that. Then the last category is the irrelevant category. So you might have this idea and it never even gets to an innovation because it actually has no market appeal. The market actually just rejects it outright. It's not interested. At one stage, I think the example that the book gave, Campbell's, which is a type of canned soup type of thing in America, they came out with a frozen soup and sandwich all in one package, and they tried to sell this. And the market, it just never took off. It was irrelevant. Market wasn't interested. Market rejected it outright. It never even got past innovation phase or to innovation phase. Bizarre inventions is a subcategory of the irrelevant, and they don't really know where to always put bizarre in. And it's these things that are, and sorry for the word, but stupid inventions, but that somehow gets mass market appeal. Mood rings, you have these rings that change color and supposedly as your temperature changes. So our body temperatures fluctuate automatically throughout the day. And the mood ring supposedly says as your mood changes, the color changes. That's a normal body, just as your micro changes in your body temperature. This is made out of a material that is temperature sensitive, so it changes color. The slinky, that funny, it looks like a spring and you can pull it over down the stairs and runs down the stairs. Is another one, and there's one in the book, and every time I see it, I'm just astonished. I can't remember what they call it, old Mac teeth or something like that. It's a set of false teeth, of broken and rotten false teeth that you could put in as a gag and walk around, and it looks like your teeth are all stuffed up. And in America, they've sold $50 million US of these things over a period of 20 years or something. So, you know, when we talk about ideas and you come up and you say to me, okay, if I say to you, come up with an entrepreneurial idea, and you say to me, well, I'm going to sell false teeth that look like rotten teeth, I'm probably just going to laugh at you and say, no, that's not an idea that can work. And yet it is an idea that really worked well. And there's a lesson in that for us. If you've got an idea that you believe in, don't let people tell you, no, the idea is not going to work. Go test the idea in the market. See what the market says of the idea. Markets are strange places. We don't know what the market's going to do with anything. It may seem to us that it's not going to work, but the market will determine whether it works or not. Sorry, I just need to have a sip of water here. Okay, so there's the myth of the isolated inventor. And this myth is that idea that there's a magic light bulb that switches on next to somebody's head and boom, there's the idea, and okay, off we go. Now we're going to start implementing this idea. It doesn't happen that way. Ideas are things that typically, sorry, let me qualify that. It has happened in that way, but typically that is not how ideas are generated. Ideas start with the thought, something small, and it develops over time. Typically, it's worked in collaboration, and typically big ideas, big inventions go through many iterations. Sometimes it takes a very long time. Vaccinations took over 100 years from the initial conception of the idea and the proof that it works until it was actually a working thing that was rolled out and used widely as it is today. So there's also this idea of there's one person to credit. You know, you get the Bill Gates of the world and the guy from Apple, I forget his name now. I'll come in his name, who's credited with the iPhone's invention of the iPhone. He worked hard and he had the concept and he drove the team. But that was a collective project by many people, Steve Jobs, a collective effort, and many of the inventions there were not even his idea. It was the idea of the team, and the team mobilized. He was the leader of the team. That doesn't mean that he can be given the credit as the inventor of that. Even electricity, if you go back to electricity and you can look at who invented electricity, there's a lot of fights about who actually was the first person to generate electricity and be able to identify it and reliably use electricity. Although your science books will tell you something, others will tell you something else. Okay. Now, for some reason, there we go. Okay, there are 4 pathways. Now, guys, by this time you know already that you need to, when you're looking and reading and studying and learning, you need to make sure that you understand what it is, because we had 4 dimensions earlier, and now we have 4 pathways. So you need to make sure that you understand what are the dimensions and what are the pathways. So in other words, don't learn the word 4, learn the word dimension and learn the word pathway. Or make sure that's your key phrases when you're preparing to do your assignments and so on. So the 4 pathways to opportunity identification is the find pathway. This is the easiest one. There is an opportunity out there. People need something. There's a problem that many people understand that problem exists, and you simply need to find a way of identifying that, identifying a solution, and actioning the solution. So it's a problem out there. If we look around us, and we think about the 3 different things: is the monetary value in it, is the environmental value, and is the social value in it. You can go search in those spheres and look at issues and problems that people have there, and say, how do we solve that problem? And once you've identified a solution, it's a question of what are you going to do? It's the so what, and you've got to make an action. Then there's a search. So here the entrepreneur is uncertain exactly what the issue is, and what's going on. So you need to go search for opportunities. You need to go search for people, search for needs that people don't know they have. And here you can go look at, in your own knowledge base, areas that of things that you're interested in and a hobby that you're doing or something like that, and look for issues there and see if you can solve those issues. Then the last 2 are the effectuate and the design. So effectuate means you taking a skill that you have and you saying, how can I apply this skill to the world out there, so that I can make some money out of it, so that I can do something that will satisfy a need for somebody or some people out there, but by the same token, it'll make me some money. This is also known as the inside-out approach. And if you look at business management, they'll talk about the inside-out approach for businesses. And they talk about the inside-out approach for businesses because this is where a business goes, and a business takes their knowledge and what they know, and they sort of apply that to the problems of the world. So what are we good at? let's apply that to issues that the world is finding, because we can take our best knowledge or what we do really well and apply that to a problem in the world. So it's our knowledge applied outside, so it's inside out that we work. We're working with what we know, what we can do, etc. The design one is the more complex one. So we look at an unidentified need. What do people want out there? And then we say, how can we learn how to do that? And then we do that to solve the problem. So we typically look at something that people don't know, they don't know, and we try to address that out there in the world. We need to go find ways. So we don't have the knowledge either, but we see there's a problem. We then go find the knowledge, the technology, whatever it might be, and we then address that problem. So for example, and I used this example today in a class, and it works here as well. Nobody knew that we had a need to buy coffee capsules and put them in a machine and make cups of coffee that way, rather than instant or normal filtered coffee. But that was in a design pathway that was followed, where they said, let's see how we can change coffee, and let's see how we can develop a technology, and let's see how we're going to make money out of that. Okay, folks, that's it for this evening. Are there any questions? Anybody wants to ask anything? Please, you'll note my email address there. Always, please feel free to email me. I will just always ask that you put ENTP7312 or Entrepreneurship 3B in your subject line. I always try to answer you within 24 hours. Weekends might take a bit longer. But if you've emailed me today and I've not got back to you by the next day, please drop me another email and say, Carl, what's going on? I've sent you an email. I'm waiting for your answer. You're fully within your rights if I haven't answered you within 24 hours. Guys, any questions? Okay. Then I'm going to say thank you and good evening. I will post this recording in the next day or two. I'll post it onto ARC. What you'll see on ARC, there's we don't post it on the actual recording won't be on ARC. The actual recording will be hosted on YouTube. I will post a link and I'll have a continuous set of links where all the recordings will be there, as well as any other recordings that I make from time to time. I'll also drop them in there, and then I'll typically send you an email to say, just go listen to that recording. I've made a recording about something else. If there's nothing else, I'm going to say thank you and good night. Okay, thanks. Have a good evening, and thank you for joining me tonight.